Fight for their release. Those 6 men, including Corpus Christi resident Illyrio Zambrano, is far from over.
The Texas Windstorm Association's board meeting got off to a stormy start today, and not all the complaints were about TWIA's proposed rate hike.
You've got people leaving the place because they have not been able to find their way in here. That's already unfair.
Good evening. We begin with some breaking news from Venezuela tonight, where Corpus Christi resident Illyrio Zambrano and 5 other men known as the Citgo Six have been released from a prison down there.
Yeah, but now they are under house arrest. Senator Seth Kovar joins us now with a look at the very latest on this breaking story. Seth, what do you know so far?
Well, yeah, I talked to Illyrio Zambrano's daughter, and he confirmed that they are indeed out of prison and on house arrest now. You'll actually hear from her on Chris 6 News at 10. The so-called Citgo Six now under house arrest. But what comes next for them isn't clear. Zambrano is one of the Citgo Six. He was living in Corpus Christi in November of 2017 when he and 5 other Citgo workers, including his brother, Jose Luis Zambrano, were called to a meeting with Citgo's parent company in Venezuela. During that meeting, masked men arrested the 6 workers, and they were charged with corruption. Zambrano's family and most other people believe those charges are false. His daughters are leading a campaign in hopes of bringing the Citgo Six home. It includes a petition that gathered more than 2,700 signatures. I reached out to Citgo to get their reaction to today's developments. The company released a statement saying that it's welcome news and that they'll continue to support the U.S. government's efforts to bring the men home. Katia?
All right, Seth, thank you. And so far, there's been no comment about the men's release from President Nicolas Maduro's government.
Well, the board of the Texas Windstorm Insurance Association found themselves in the eye of a storm when they held a meeting over at the Omni Hotel this morning. Now, a 5% increase in premiums for residential and commercial policies was on the agenda, but happily for TWIA policyholders, it was not approved. Our Ashley Portillo at this morning's board meeting. She joins us now from the newsroom, and Ashley, there was quite a turnout despite the early start this morning.
Well, Lee, that conversation began at 8:30 in the morning, but you're right, it was a huge turnout from the community. Many people wanting to talk during public comment, and that delayed the vote by more than 4 hours later.
It was a packed house at the Omni. Many wearing their no rate hike pins, others holding no TWIA rate hike signs. Eventually, the room next door was also open to provide more space, and the huge turnout included people like this worried resident.
I almost got discouraged of coming in here because there's so much people walking away out of it. I said, where are you going? He says, we don't fit in there.
That resident said the timing and location of the meeting was unfair. Meanwhile, more than a dozen elected officials were the first to address the TWIA board. Most had the same message.
Keep your promise. You said 0%. You filed 0%. You keep that promise.
Then one by one, a couple dozen residents voiced their concerns too, sharing their stories about recovery after Hurricane Harvey.
Structural damage on our house. Some of our walls on our sheetrock's cracked. Our floors are cracked.
Those who didn't get to speak made sure the TWIA board knew where they stood. After hearing concerns for a couple hours, the TWIA board unanimously voted 7-0 for no rate hike. Great news for those like Royce Rivera, who is still feeling the impact of the storm that rocked the coastal bend more than 2 years ago.
It's been depressing.
But residents may have some mental and financial relief after today's vote. And by the way, residents who have insurance through TWIA will not have to worry about an increase through 2020. But TWIA is expected to meet again. That's in August of next year. Lee.
All right. Thank you very much, Ashley. Now, the TWIA board approves a rate hike at its August 2020 board meeting. The increase would not go into effect until 2021. Well, this is not the first time in recent years that TWIA has pitched a rate increase. During the July 31st board meeting in 2018, the board of directors approved a 10% rate increase. Now, it was supposed to kick in January of this year. However, that never happened because in October of 2018, Governor Greg Abbott sent a letter to the state insurance commissioner ordering him to put that rate hike on hold. The governor then asked state lawmakers to review the rate hike request during the 2019 legislative session. And they created an oversight board that now looks at how TWIA determines its rate increases. TWIA now also required to give the public advance notice of any proposed rate hikes. Now, during a board meeting in Galveston back in August of this year, the board voted not to increase premiums for residential and commercial rates. TWIA committee, however, debated another rate increase in October, but they voted against it pending a review of how the staff does its rate analysis. And when the committee met again last month, it recommended that 5% across the board rate increase, and that's the increase that the TWIA board rejected this morning. Well,
the proposed North Beach Canal project was back on the City Council's agenda today. Last week, 4 council members had a North Beach Canal ordinance added to today's agenda. The city attorney raised concerns about their ordinance, citing several ways that it violated the city charter. Now, some of the concerns include no guaranteed funding source, a lack of excavation permits, no canal listed in the TERS number 4 project plan, and a 90-year lease to property that the city does not own. Now, despite those objections by the city attorney, the council has approved the canal. And Chris 6 News reporter Greg Chandler is live at City Hall, where this just happened moments ago. Greg.
That's right, Katya. The council votes unanimously 9-0 in favor of approving an ordinance authorizing a navigable canal on North Beach. Now, some of the changes from that ordinance that had been posted with the agenda last week, this ordinance is subject to funding and permitting being approved, and again, not to exceed $41.2 million, and it has to be completed by January 1st of 2025. Now, as for possible ways to fund it, the ordinance lists bonds, hotel occupancy taxes, TERS number 4, the Seawall Fund, stormwater capital improvement projects, grants, and interest earned from other city funds. And it also gives the city manager the authorization to choose the contractor and the design firm, give the city manager's office a lot of power when it comes to the canal project moving forward. Now, this was just the first step, though. Several city council members warned that this canal project will not just simply fix the drainage. A lot of other work needs to be finished. That work still to come, things like the breakwater islands, picking the spot where the canal is going to be cut, and of course the harbor bridge needs to be finished to go along with this project. But as of now, the council has approved digging a canal for North Beach, and that canal could very well be the centerpiece of a Riverwalk style attraction there. Katya?
A lot going on, and that's just happening now. Greg Chandler reporting for us. Thank you, Greg. And by the way, developers wanted the city council to commit to the canal today in order to take advantage of federal tax incentives, which expire at the end of the year.
Next, we have an update on Monday's pepper spray incident over at Atkins Middle School. Students were back in class on a normal schedule this morning. Maintenance crews able to clear the air of any irritating chemicals in the school overnight. CCISD Police Chief Kirby Warnke says it's still not clear just how many students became ill after someone released pepper spray in the school cafeteria yesterday, but he says none of them were hospitalized. CCISD police also reviewing surveillance video of that incident and questioning witnesses before determining whether any charges will be filed. Well, a man arrested for a double murder at a West Side home last week was brought to court this morning. 27-year-old Jose Luis Ramirez made a brief appearance in a magistrate court where he was told that capital murder charges have been filed against him. His bond has been set at $1 million, and Ramirez told the judge today he would hire his own attorney. Now, police believe that Ramirez shot and killed 26-year-old Daniel Garza and 25-year-old George Soto last Thursday at a house over in the 1200 block of Elgin Street. U.S. Marshals arrested Ramirez the following day. No motive for those shootings has been given yet.
Meanwhile, a big announcement from the UIL today. They have adjusted the enrollment cutoff numbers in regards to their biannual realignment. And those new numbers did come as a surprise for some of our area schools. Sports Director Alan Harwell joins us now with an update on those changes. Yeah, what a surprise to so many of us.
Hey guys, yes, today's new revisions will have a significant impact on some of our area schools. Some surprises indeed. Let's start now with the Miller Buccaneers. They originally, remember, going to play in 5A, but their current numbers moved them down to Class 4A Division 1. They could have tried to opt back up, but Justin Evans says they will stay in Class 4A Division 1. The Alice Coyotes will also be moving down to Class 4A Division 1. They were originally slotted to stay 5A, but Alice coach Kyle Utwood told me that, well, he was really surprised by today's revision, but he'll accept the fact and his team will play 4A Division 1 for the next 2 years. And the GP Wildcats, originally slated to play in Class 5A Division 2, have opted up to play in 5A Division 1, same as the 5 of the 6 CCISD schools. Now, coming up On Chris 6 Sports later in this newscast, we'll hear from Coach Rick Rhodes on why it was important for his school to move back up to Class 5A Division I. I'll see you then.
All right.
Thank you very much, Shallow. Well, another major development in the impeachment inquiry against President Trump.
Yeah, it moves the Democrats' case just one step away from a full vote in the House.
And it was a cold day here in the Coastal Bend compared to yesterday as we take a look at our First Community Bank weather bug camera. 53 degrees on the bayfront, about 1/4 inch of rain. We needed that and then some. Rained over on the west side of town at Suntide at 37. Our RV weather bug camera picking up 52 degrees and a north wind pretty raw at 16 miles an hour. And the rain also occurred officially here in Corpus Christi. We had 1/1600ths of an inch. We need a lot more. Is there any in the forecast and how cold tonight? In a few minutes, I'll be back to tell you all about it.
Chris 6 News is brought to you by NAC Co-op Energy, your not-for-profit electricity source for home and business. Now, Chris 6 News at 6 continues.
Welcome back, everyone. In a historic move today, House Democrats announced 2 articles of impeachment against President Donald Trump, abuse of power and obstruction of Congress.
Charging the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, with committing high crimes and misdemeanors.
The House Judiciary Committee is expected to vote on the articles this Thursday, setting the stage for a full House vote next week. House Republicans accuse Democrats of acting for political reasons.
They're impeaching him because they're afraid he will get reelected. That's not why you have the power of impeachment. That's the abuse of power.
And President Trump sent out tweets calling impeachment sheer political madness and repeating that Ukraine's president said there was no pressure.
Well, the Pentagon's Inspector General has opened up a review on U.S. troop deployments along the U.S.-Mexico border. This review will determine whether those deployments are legal. IG officials will also investigate the type of activities the troops are involved with along the border, the training they received, and the cost of those deployments. There are currently 6,500 troops, both active duty military and National Guard personnel, who are deployed along the U.S.-Mexico border. Well, a Jersey City neighborhood rocked by deadly gunfire this afternoon.
6 people, including 1 police officer, lay dead when the shooting finally stopped an hour late. We've got that story coming up.
And welcome back. It's been a violent afternoon in Jersey City, New Jersey.
A shootout at a neighborhood supermarket has left one police officer and 5 other people dead. 2 suspects were among those killed. A police officer was investigating a local homicide when he approached the suspects. They opened fire and they fled into the supermarket. A standoff then turned into a deadly gun battle. A TV news crew covering the shootout was almost caught in that crossfire.
And of course, again, we are going to be sure that we're safe as this ongoing shootout with police. You just heard another number of gunshots. We're going to back up again. You hear, the fire is getting louder and faster right now.
At least 3 other officers were injured in that shootout.
Well, back here in South Texas, Nueces County Veteran Services Office has a new chief. Commissioners approved J.J. De La Cerda as the new Veteran Services Officer today. Cerda served in the Marines and did 2 tours of duty in Iraq. He says one of his goals in his new role is to make sure that local vets know what benefits are out there for them.
I'd just like to reach out to every organization, all the resources, and get them together and put on fairs and get the word out to these veterans that there's help. There's help.
By the way, Cerda also worked for the Coastal Bend State Cemetery, where he started the Unaccompanied Veterans Notification Program. That's the one that invites members of the community to attend funerals for veterans who have no known family.
6 Weather is brought to you by Aztec Chevrolet in Beeville. Visit AztecAutoplex.com. Now, the most accurate weather forecast in South Texas with Chief Meteorologist Dale Nelson.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back. Here is your Aztec Chevrolet forecast as we take a look at our temperatures. Definitely different from yesterday. Right now, it's only 48 degrees in Beeville, ranging up to 55 in Falfurrias. We've got 52, rebounding from 50 at 11 o'clock this morning with that cold rain falling, dragging the air down from the clouds into the surface regions of the coastal bend. We are 23 degrees colder than this time yesterday. So we've seen a significant front, but it's not as cold as it was back on the 12th of November when we got down to 34, but it's definitely on the chilly side. We did have some light rain move through. It was nice to see that, but it only amounted to a few hundredths of an inch, up to about a quarter of an inch in some spots. Now the clouds are beginning to thin out here, and the faster we clear out tonight, the colder we're going to get, but everybody stays well above freezing. 16 hundredths of an inch of rain officially, 23 hundredths at the Naval Air Station. Our weather watcher here in town, Victor Salter, had 19 hundredths of an inch of rain, so similar values. As you get to the coast, a little heavier, a little lighter further north and west you go. Raw northerly winds, they are slowing down, heaviest along the coast, lighter inland right now. And we still have a wind advisory out till 9 o'clock tonight. That should be canceled, and a gale warning out for seas up to 13 feet offshore. That's until midnight. Here is the evening forecast. 52 right now. We'll drop to 51, and then we'll see temperatures on into the upper 40s as we approach midnight with the northerly winds. The future winds look like this, and again, they do settle down here overnight, but enough of a breeze that we won't have total radiational cooling. So again, that'll slow down our temperature drop, but add a chill to the air and put the wind chill factor in the 30s across the region. And then the winds lighten up during the day tomorrow, but turn a little bit northeasterly. That's going to add some clouds to the forecast on Thursday. Take a look at it here on future clouds and rain. It clears out by morning, so we get cold, and then sunshine galore and beautiful tomorrow. And then we get a few clouds coming back with those northeasterly winds at the surface on Thursday before it clears out again by Thursday evening. So the morning lows look like this: 40 here, 37 Beeville and George West, about 46 in Port Aransas. Breezy and cold overall. We'll start at 40 in the morning, bundle the kids up at the bus stop. 55 though at noon and also at 5 p.m. In between though, we'll hit 59 degrees on our afternoon high with 60s out here to the west, with more sunshine and lighter winds. So those clouds are coming from this little area of low pressure that is moving through the Rockies, but again, it doesn't have any moisture to work with. And notice our flow is zonal, so yes, here comes the warm air, lots of it, and we're headed back into the 80s, believe it or not. Here's your NEC Co-op Energy 7-day forecast. 40 tonight, 59 tomorrow, 43 and 67 Thursday, 75 Friday. There it is, 80 on Saturday, 84 Sunday. A warming trend before the next cold front comes through. Mainly dry here Monday, and it makes it cold once again by Tuesday of next week. So a lot happening, but it's all good. Katya and Lee.
All right, thank you very much, Dale. Coming up in sports, Alan will have more on today's UIL realignment revision,
including reaction from Gregory Portland on why they opt to move up. We're back after this quick timeout.
Now, the Coastal Bend Sports Authority, Alan Harwell, with your Chris 6 Sports Report. Proudly brought to you by Sames Ford. Shop Sames and save.
Hi, good evening, everybody. As we first reported earlier in this newscast, the UIL has adjusted the enrollment cutoff numbers in regards to their biannual realignment. The new revisions will have a significant impact on some of our area schools. In fact, let's start with the Miller Buccaneers. They originally were going to go 5A, but their current numbers have moved them down to 4A Division I. They could have opted back to 5A, but they will stay Class 4A Division I. And the Alice Coyotes are also moving down to 4A Division I. They were originally slotted to stay 5A, but Alice coach Kyle Atwood told me, a little surprised by today's revision, but they will stay 4A. And the Gregory Portland Wildcats, originally slated to play in 5A Division II, have opted to move up and play in Division I instead. Same as 5 of the 6 CCISD schools. Coach Rick Rhodes says, it was important for his school to move back to Class 5A Division I.
If we didn't opt up, then we were kind of, had a really good chance of playing in a district that was, towards San Antonio, maybe past San Antonio. And it just didn't make sense to me to, as far as, transportation costs, the amount of time kids would be out of class. It just didn't make sense to me to travel to San Antonio and play district ball games when we could cross the bridge and play schools that basically have Division II enrollment.
All right, that certainly makes a lot of sense. By the way, none of this will be official until February the 3rd. Obviously, a lot can happen between now and then. We will keep you posted on the very latest. Of course, the Refugio Bobcats are getting set to take on San Augustine Thursday night in the Class 2A Division I state semifinal up at Cy-Fair Stadium in Houston. Obviously, a lot on the line in this game. The winner is going to earn a trip to the state title game up at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. So that sets up our big broadcast on Thursday night live from Cy-Fair Stadium. If you can't make it, and we hope you can make it to the game, but if you can't, we invite you to tune in to Thomas J. Henry's Game Night South Texas live on KDF and on ChrisTV.com starting at 7 o'clock.
Love it. Yeah. You gotta tune in if you can.
It'll be a lot of fun. Yes.
Thanks.